Hi, Chabo here, and welcome to another episode of the Proven Sales Letter Breakdown series that I'm doing for 90 days. Today, I got a really special example for you, and it's from none other than the legendary, the one and only Gary Halbert, and it's the Coat and Arms sales letter. This one's very famous, and this actually started a company that, get this, made Gary $300,000 per day. So it's pretty something. Obviously, this is counted in today's dollars, but like this is one of the first letters that actually started it all, maybe the first, and it was actually written in 1971. So it's quite an old. It's like 50 years old, but trust me, guys, if you read this, and also it's super short. It's like 300 words only. If you hand copy it, it's 361 words. You'll just see how super effective copy, super high level copy actually works, because it's not about aggressive selling. It's not about bashing people over the head with offers that they don't want, but instead it's about basically tapping into an already existing desire. And in this case, the main desire I think for this is prestige. So people want to experience more prestige. They want to feel more important. And basically the whole product, what it is, it's basically a like a little illustration and like a family history of interesting names. So what Gary did, and it's just such a genius thing, and you can also model your own stuff after it, by the way. So what he did is that he searched phone books for rare names, and in this case McDonald was, for example, such a rare name. And then he actually noticed that the rarer the name, the more money he makes off of them. And it's very easy to actually, and I don't know why this is jumping all around, but like he could personalize letters that way very easily and simply, and basically sell them the idea of getting like this illustration of a family crest. So everything has super simple and personal language. It's not aggressive at all. And this is kind of a tripwire offer. Nowadays, in digital marketing, you have a tripwire, which is like a very low price product that's there to like get customers on your email list or in your marketing system so that you can sell them more expensive stuff later on. And this did just that 50 years ago. So Gary already came up with this. It was also similar to a free plus shipping offer, so that they only had to pay $2 to get this, or like extra $1 for additional copies. So this was a nice upsell opportunity, a nice way to increase average order value, which is important if you want to get more customers. And then he sold them a lot of other related stuff in the back end as well. And notice how even the letterhead, it's not made out to a company, even though this was eventually like a $300,000 per day company in today's dollars, but it's made out to like Bath, Ohio, which is a very, very small town with like 8,000 people. I looked it up, and the whole idea, I mean, it was at that time, the whole idea was to like make this a super personal message that like a nice old lady just happens to write and send with first class mail, so in a plain white envelope, to a bunch of Mr. McDonald's. But like, since there aren't many Mr. McDonald's in one area or something like that, like they won't talk to each other, and everybody will feel like it's something special specifically made for them. So Gary already realized this very early on, and he also used a phone number, and he was famous of hiring nice old ladies instead of like customer support agents, and instead of like being this corporate type of person who has the image of a corporation. Like he always used this very, very approachable and very conversational image. So that's why he hired nice old ladies. And whenever somebody called the customer service, like they picked it up, and obviously customers were like, yeah, like this seems like a very personal thing. How cool is that? Okay, so pretty cool. No fancy letterhead, no flashy text or images, no business name, no salesy at all, and it's just super short, but it's super powerful. And I want to tell you the story behind this because it's super important. but before I do that, make sure to subscribe to these to the channel as well, because that way you'll be the first to know whenever I release new videos like this, and also hit the notification bell as well, because then you'll be alerted when I upload, and I am uploading these daily now. So if you're enjoying this, then make sure to do that. But anyway, the story goes like this. So how basically Gary came up with the idea. He found himself skimming an article on how to make some extra cash on the side. And in this article, a very old lady who split her free time evenly between visits to the library and her workshop actually shared her story in a newspaper that Gary was reading when he was looking for a business idea. And the article said that, you know, this old lady, she supplemented her income by crafting personalized paintings of family crests. And during her trips to the library, she'd find a surname with the coat of arms associated with it, and she'd sketch a copy in ink regarding it. So then she'd go to the phone book and compile a list of every person with that last name and mail them a postcard. And the postcard would include the ink sketch, as well as an invitation to buy a painting of that coat of arms in full color. So the credit goes out to this website for this story, but this actually gave Gary an interesting idea. And the idea was to actually model a promotion after it. And as I said, it was he chose McDonald, but there were many other names as well. And you know, by sending such a personal letter to people, they would be like why would anyone send me junk mail to a bulk list? Because even then, you know, people were used to getting promotional mails all the time. I'm sure you do get promotional mails as well all the time, but people didn't really feel like anybody would do this on scale or at scale, okay? But Gary did, and it started a super big company, and a very interesting company. So basically, I'm not going to read everything, but just highlight a few parts here. So basically, we have a nice pattern interrupt in the beginning, because it goes like, "Dear Mr. McDonald, did you know that your family name was recorded with a coat of arms in ancient heraldic archives more than 7 centuries ago?" So already it's super interesting. It's like, it's a cool pattern interrupt, because it's like, what the hell? Like, think about it, what this actually makes the reader feel. Everybody wants to feel important, and maybe even part of an exotic club or something like that. And like ancient heraldic archives, that seems interesting. 7 centuries ago, wow. So I must have some interesting family history in Europe, in like medieval Europe, and maybe I'm like the descendant of some royal family or something. So why not? Also in the movies as well, if you look at it, like the royal families and this specific idea and image always connected with people. So then the copy goes, "My husband and I." So another very genius thing from Gary is that this isn't written from his perspective, because it's usually addressed to men. And then men are more likely to open letters from women, obviously. And then Gary asked her wife, Nancy Halbert, to actually like lend her name for this. But Gary wrote the copy, obviously, but like he says, "My husband and I discovered this while doing some research," so it seems like it was kind of by accident, "for some friends of ours who have the same last name as you do." Wow, what a coincidence. "We've had an artist recreate the coat of arms exactly as described in the ancient records." So it presupposes that there's a lot of effort that went to it, and it's just so nice of it. Like when this McDonald is reading it, he's probably like, "Oh, like how thoughtful, like they accidentally stumbled on this secret, and now they want to give me a chance as well to maybe get this as well. How thoughtful." And then Gary goes on to say, "This drawing, along with the other information about the name, has been printed up into an attractive one-page report." So this is kind of like a direct offer, a direct lead, actually. So it just straight up gives it to the reader, like what it is. And it sounds interesting. And then this whole paragraph here, it basically builds trust. So it's all about building trust. And then the second paragraph just basically like describes the copy, the product itself. So it's all features. but it seems natural and interesting. So usually it's not really advisable to only use features in your copy, not at all, but like it basically describes what's inside of it. Like, the top half is a large, beautiful reproduction of the artist's drawing of the earliest known coat of arms for the name of MacDonald. This entire report is documented, authentic, and printed on parchment-like paper suitable for framing. So again, it's something really thoughtful, and this actually makes the reader feel like, wow, I knew that my family was important. I just knew that I was special. I had to be special. So I also must be important, right? And this is what the core emotion that I think Gary is tapping into. Then we have some proof, some very subtle proof, by saying that the report so delighted our friends that we have made an extra copies. So again, how thoughtful. But this also implies scarcity immediately, and everything makes sense. So that's why Gary's copy is just so buttery smooth. He was a genius even 50 years ago. It's unbelievable. And then this whole paragraph just makes people feel like, wow, these people who send me this letter, they're so thoughtful, and why shouldn't I get it? I mean, I should, because it just makes sense. And then we get to the benefits a little bit. So like, you could use this as wall decorations. And then we also have second level benefits by saying that, you could also give this to relatives as well. So it would be great gifts. So just think about it. Like, they're gonna love you for it. You as the reader, they're gonna love you for it, because it's like, who gives like such a creative gift, and it's only $2. So why shouldn't you do it? I mean, it just taps into not just the I am special type of emotion in their core, but also the look at me, I'm such a genius for giving you such a gift. Okay. Gary really was a master of these types of emotions. Then we have some objection handling and extra care, in the sense that maybe some people are thinking that, yeah, but like, I don't know, maybe I can also find this out myself or something if I cared. But Gary goes like, no, your family tree has been researched thoroughly for several centuries to find out the earliest people named MacDonald. So again, you can find your ancestors or something like that. And then he also basically doesn't try to sell them too much, but instead he says something like, all we are asking for them is enough to cover the added expenses of having the extra copies printed and mailed. So it's basically like a free plus shipping offer once again, 50 years before free plus shipping offers have been all the rage. Our supply is pretty slim, so this is logical scarcity. So everything, the entire image of this ad seems like, it's from the basement of a nice little old lady, Nancy Halbert. And it just makes sense that supplies are limited. Like, obviously, who would print like tens of thousands of these, right? Because this doesn't seem like a business. And then Gary very smartly also gives them the opportunity to order more, or order more for their friends as well, which is there to increase average order value, which we all know is very important to like acquire cold customers from cold traffic. And this is actually a cold traffic funnel essentially, because he's buying customers on his email, on his list, because it wasn't email back then, so that he can mail them something more in the back end and increase his average order values even more. And in fact, after people bought this, Gary actually mailed them an offer for a relatively expensive like frame as well, because he knew that people would be lazy to frame this themselves, and they get all the crest and the illustration, but like, wouldn't it look better with the frame as well, with a nice like medieval looking frame or something like that? Of course it would. And that's kind of the upsell, which makes sense. So then we also have like, we'll send them promptly my return mail. So back in those days, there was no such thing as get instant access, but this is as close as you can get. And then, again, it was written by Gary, from Gary's wife's perspective. So this again basically lowers friction, and the whole offer is just an introductory offer. It's $2, so it's like, it's no risk to it, but like if you order more reports, then it's $1 extra for each new report apart from the first one. So this is really smart. It's just a nice little upsell and AOV boosting opportunity. And then again, one last little thing that lowers resistance is to say that please make checks payable to me, Nancy L. Halbert. So again, this just reinforces the idea that this doesn't go to a company, it goes directly to the nice little old little lady who was thoughtful enough to like give the opportunity of to this Mr. McDonald to maybe, you know, get on this as well. So I think it's genius, and each time I read and copy one of like hand copy Gary Halbert's ads, it's just, I'm blown away by how much of a genius he was even in those days. It's unbelievable. And he was still like a better copywriter than 99% of copywriters today. It's hands down, it's no competition. So kudos to him, definitely. So also kudos to you. If you've watched this video until this point, leave a like or share this video with others as well if you enjoyed it and if you feel like it would help others as well. And then thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.